Ever feel like your to-do list is like a monster?
Yeah.
It just keeps growing no matter how many things you check off.
Yeah, you're not alone there, that's for sure.
So today, we are diving into something that promises to not just tame that beast, but maybe even like make friends with it. It's called Getting Things Done, GTD, and it's been a lifesaver.
For millions, literally millions.
Millions. Yeah, it's true. Okay, so we're working from an article, and it breaks its whole thing down in a way that I think is actually really useful. But before we even get into the nitty-gritty,
Sure.
what is that like mind like water idea?
Okay, so picture this. Your mind is a lake, right?
Right.
And it's totally calm, reflects the sky perfectly.
Okay.
That's your mind, like in an ideal state. Totally clear, focused, ready for anything. Now, what happens when you start throwing rocks into that lake?
Ripples.
Ripples, exactly. Disturbs the peace, right? Each rock is like a to-do, a worry, an unfinished thing.
Okay.
And that's what most of us are dealing with. It's just constant rocks being thrown into our mental lake.
Yeah. And so GTD is helping us, fish those rocks out?
It's like having a system, yeah. A really, really good system. A trusted place where you can store all those to-dos outside of your head, let your mind go back to being that calm lake.
Okay, I love it. So the article starts with this idea of capturing those rocks no matter how small.
Everything.
So even if it's like 3 in the morning and you wake up with a quote-unquote genius idea.
Write it down.
Write it down.
Because it might be the next big thing, or it might be totally useless, but who cares, right? Once it's out of your head and it's in the system, your mind's free to let it go.
Okay, so the article specifically recommends a digital task manager because, of course,
It's 2024.
it's 2024. But yeah, something that syncs across all your devices.
Essential.
Essential. Okay, so we're capturing everything, but then what? We've got this mountain of to-dos now. What do we do with all of them?
Well, that's where stage 2 comes in, clarify. We've got to decide what to do with all those things we captured. This is the mental workout part.
Okay,
This is where we're really flexing those decision-making muscles.
I'm ready.
Good. First question to ask yourself, is this thing even actionable?
Oh, that's a really good point.
Like, can you actually do something about it?
Yeah, sometimes those 3 a.m. ideas, they're better left in the brainstorm phase.
100%. And GTD gives you a way to deal with those non-actionable things too, right? So if it's not actionable, maybe you toss it out. Maybe you delegate it if you can. Or you put it on a someday maybe list, for when you have more time or energy or whatever you need.
Someday.
Yeah.
Maybe. I like that. Takes the pressure off. Okay, so what about the things that are actionable? We've captured them. We've clarified. What's next?
All right. Well, here's where we get to a really cool GTD hack I think you're going to like. The 2-minute rule.
Okay, hit me.
If an action can be done in 2 minutes or less,
Yeah.
you just do it right then.
Oh, right then and there.
Right then and there.
Wow.
And it seems small, but
That's brilliant.
it is.
Because it stops those tiny little things from becoming these big monsters.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're talking answering a quick email, making a short phone call. Those small wins, they really add up over time.
They do. They snowball.
Okay.
What about the tasks that take longer?
Okay, so for anything longer than 2 minutes, GTD says, all right, let's get organized.
Yeah.
Which is stage 3.
Okay, so this is where the lists come in. I'm a list person.
You and me both. Lists are great, but GTD takes it a step further. So think about this. The article gives the example of getting new glasses.
Okay, yeah.
Sounds simple enough, right?
Yeah.
But when you really break it down,
It's not.
it's not just one thing. You've got to get the eye exam. You got to pick out frame.
Take out the glasses.
Exactly. It's a whole project disguised as a task. And GTD gets that, which I think is really smart. So it helps you break down those bigger projects into smaller, actionable steps.
So instead of just having this looming get new glasses, it's schedule the eye exam. It's research places to get glasses.
Exactly.
That feels better already.
And that's where the real magic happens, right? Instead of get new glasses looming over you, you've got this whole roadmap.
So we're not just making lists, we're making mini plans for each project.
Exactly. And then even within each project, you can define those actions even more by thinking about the context.
Okay, context. What does it even mean, though, in GTD?
So it means thinking about things like, where are you going to be? How much time do you have? What's your energy level like? All of that goes into deciding what you should be tackling. Like
Hmm.
research eyeglass styles, that could be a computer task, right? Whereas pick up the glasses, that's obviously a like running errands task.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's about matching the task to the situation.
Exactly. Your to-do list works for you, not the other way around.
Okay.
Instead of this like overwhelming jumble of stuff, it's like, okay, based on where I am, what makes the most sense to do right now?
I am loving this because anyone who knows me knows I am always on the go. So that is huge. Okay, so we've captured, we've clarified, we've organized. Are we missing anything?
We're not done yet. There are two more stages, and these are big ones. They're what make this whole system actually work, not just like a one-time clear out of your to-do list.
Okay, so that's next.
Stage 4 is all about reflection, and the article actually recommends a really specific time for this, Friday
Oh,
afternoons.
interesting.
Yeah. Like a weekly check-in with your system. You're going to review everything, update priorities, make sure it all still makes sense.
A Friday afternoon reset. I like the sound of that.
Right. It's a chance to just clear the decks, celebrate your wins from the week, set yourself up for the next week. Okay, now, once you've captured, clarified, organized, reflected, you're ready for the final and honestly, maybe the most important stage. Engage.
Engage. That sounds very active.
It is. This is where you're doing the thing, right?
Okay.
But it's also about trusting the system. You've done all this work. Now you just got to let it guide you.
No more second guessing like, should I be doing this right now?
Exactly. Trust the system. What's the next action it's telling you to take? Do that. Okay. Before we talk about how to use GTD for like really big projects, which I know we'll get to, there's something important the article mentions that I want to point out.
Okay, lay it on me.
GTD, it's great, but it's not a time management system. Those are two separate things.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this gives you the what, but not necessarily the when.
Exactly. So you might have a task like write a report, right? GTD will help you break it down, but it's not going to tell you, okay, block off Tuesday afternoon from 2.0 to 4.0 to work on this. That's where stuff like time boxing comes in.
Time boxing, we'll have to do a whole other deep dive on that.
Another time. Yeah.
But I'm glad you're making that distinction because I think it's easy to get those two things confused.
It happens all the time. But here's the beauty of it. You can use GTD with other tools, right? It's like the foundation, and then you build out from there.
So GTD gives you the structure, and then you can kind of personalize it.
Exactly. Okay, but speaking of structure, let's talk about how GTD handles those big, overwhelming projects. The ones that just feel so big, you end up just like procrastinating. Remember our getting new glasses example?
Yeah, how could I forget getting new glasses?
Yeah.
It's the perfect example of a task that's actually like a secret project.
Right. And GTD is all about breaking those down into smaller steps. So instead of write a novel, which is terrifying,
Right.
it's write 500 words today, or even like brainstorm character ideas.
Okay, yeah, way less intimidating.
Right. You're not frozen anymore. You're like, okay, I can do something.
Okay.
So it's all about changing that feeling of overwhelm into what's the very next thing I can do right now to move this forward.
I get it. And then as you do those little things, you actually start to see the bigger picture coming together, which I'm guessing is very motivating. It's like that feeling when you finally finish a massive puzzle.
Yes.
You start with this huge jumble, but with every piece, it becomes clearer and clearer. And even those small wins, they feel really good.
Exactly. And they keep you going, right? If you only allow yourself to feel good when you achieve the huge thing.
It's too long to wait.
What's too long?
You got to celebrate those smaller victories. Okay.
And it all builds, right?
So with GTD, it's not just about like checking boxes. It's about building momentum.
Exactly. You got it. It's about switching from that feeling of, ugh, I'm so overwhelmed to, okay, I can do this one step at a time.
Love it. And I think our listeners are probably already thinking about how they can apply this stuff, right? So as we head into the final part of this deep dive, what are the key things you hope they'll take away? I think the biggest thing is don't overthink it. Just start getting things out of your head, like literally get a system and start using it.
Yeah. You don't need like a fancy app or a perfectly organized notebook, whatever works for you.
Find what works, yeah. And don't forget that 2-minute rule. That's huge.
Game changer.
Seriously. Okay, but we got to wrap up. Final thought time, the part I always look forward to.
Always a good one.
Okay, so think about that one big project, the one that's like lurking in the back of your mind. We all have one.
At least one.
It feels huge, maybe a little scary. Now here's the challenge. Break it down. GTD style. What are 3 actions, just 3 that you could actually do today?
That's the whole point, right? You take this big, overwhelming thing and you make it manageable.
And suddenly it's not so scary anymore.
Exactly. It's all about that first step, then the next, before you know it.
You're making progress.
Exactly.
It's like that. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Love it.
Or, in GTD terms, a journey to conquering your to-do list begins with a single, well-defined next action.
Yes. And remember, it's not about becoming like a robot. This isn't about working all the time. It's about freeing up your mental space for the stuff that really matters.
Working smarter, not harder.
There you go.
So, listeners, give it a try. Explore GTD, make it your own, figure out what works for you. You might be surprised how much you can get done when your mind's clear, your to-do list is your friend.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. All right, that's it for our deep dive on getting things done. We hope you got a lot out of it. Until next time, happy organizing.